And you say Shy City and around the world, welcome to another episode of Chicago's ILLectuals podcast. And today we have with us Mr. Bomani Tyehimba. How are you doing, brother?
Yes, I'm doing great in this beautiful city of ATL, Georgia.
Yeah, you in the A, baby. You in the A. Let's go ahead and jump into it if you don't mind, man. Tell the world a little bit about your background, where you were raised, how you were raised, things of that nature.
Yes, absolutely. Born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica in the 70s.
Yeah.
And my family moved to Brooklyn, New York in the late 80s. And just and from there went to a technical school where I began my craft in the world of electrical electronic technology at Transitech High School. So like to usually just start it off there because that's been my known world since I've been 13, 14 years old. Uh, and at 18 now, once I graduated at 17 and turned 18, I joined the U.S. Navy and got a position as an aircraft technician, or more focused as an aircraft engine technician slash mechanic.
Yeah.
And that's where I just started building my professional energy and using my electrical and electronic technology background from Transit Technology High School. So just always focus on the career, focus on just building that energy. Your upbringings from Jamaica, come from developing energy of this determined people who are looking for opportunities to grow their family, to build from that struggle where, we come from as a foundation of stolen from Africa.
Yeah.
So always looking to find our path, looking to this build that energy. So from the technical high school to the U.S. Navy, it gave me a great foundation to build a career that I still make a living from, still to this day. And next thing I want to talk about is this: when I was completed my Navy commitment, I went to another technical school, and this was for aircraft maintenance. And then once I graduated, got a position down here at Atlanta, Georgia Airport.
Yeah.
And that's where I started coming to the energy of just meeting different people now, you know.
Yeah.
Mm. And
Speaking of foundations, Bomani, where'd you get your values?
yes, my values is from my upbringings from Kingston, Jamaica. I have a big family and a proud family of hardworking, determined people. And your family from generations to generations teach you about education, not taking shortcuts in life, putting the work in, making your commitment, and
Yeah.
just going out there and competing in the world.
So, who would you say were some of your earlier influences? Like, who cemented your mindset?
Your parents and your
Ah,
extended family, you know, aunties, uncles, cousins, the people you grew up with, you grew up in a struggle, so you're learning how to understand the way of just the reality of life while you see other people out there thrive and live well. And you're trying to get there in your life. So you pick up that hard work and determination. But my parents are literally both retired from the state of New York,
mm,
uh 35 plus years.
wow.
So that's as values and commitments as you get. That generation that stuck to a position and just work with it and provide for their family and build from there. So my generation, your goal is to just learn advanced technology business, connect into the world of Pan Africanism, which is what I connect to also while I was down here working as an aircraft technician. You meet different people, now you're more of an adult now, and your mind is more open to just picking up information. And then you see that life is more than just a job, a career. And you also see the struggles of the people around you and the people on a global scale. So you just come out that path, and now you're more open to the world. And then, while I was in the U.S. Navy, did a whole lot of traveling, and while I was in the working for the airlines, the same thing, did a lot of traveling. So pretty much was able to make my way around six continents with that combination.
Wow.
And from that energy and that experience in that world, next you start studying about your roots and your culture, because at some point in your life, you start looking back at where you came from, how that connection going. And you have people that you meet, your friends that may be more into the world of African consciousness or Black consciousness, and that brings you into that world to do the same thing you've been doing all your life. You come from a technical background, so you're used to studying and you're used to learning and being able to understand your craft. So now this is the time where you learn to understand your culture. So I began a cultural connection in 2003, connecting into the world of Pan Africanism and learning about roots and culture and just working with different groups and different organizations. So you can kind of just build that foundation. And for someone like myself, it didn't take me long to where I started just thinking about, okay, we talk about Africa so much, so now we need to make a move. So that's when 2004 came into place where I started looking into taking journeys to Africa,
Yeah.
just to get, to that point of, where we're talking about with all these colors and, the Africa hat and the Ghana jersey. And so I had some coworkers that was talking about going to Senegal, and at that point I was studying. So we were studying heavy on West Africa. So I took that journey with them, and we just went and checked out Senegal in March of 2004, and I learned about Gory Island. I learned about the African slave trade or the European uh, African slave trade,
Yeah.
or what we call the transatlantic European slave trade. Depends on how people word it. Yeah. And from there, a lot of things connect into your mind about, because it's your first time going to an African Holocaust dungeon to learn about what happened to your ancestors and how we got to this side of the world. And so that kind of was in my mind. You had dreams, you had nightmares, you had something that for the first time you've been exposed to. I mean, you can read it in the book, which is fine because but then when you actually connect into a cell and you're able to just get the ancestors just to connect with you, then now it becomes real. And from that point, I really wanted to just find out more because now you're just digging deep into that journey. And going into Senegal was more than just going to the African Holocaust dungeon, but that was always the part of that journey. Whenever you go to, especially West Africa, we always have to make it a point where we revisit uh, the foundation or revisit where we were stolen from or revisit that connection that completely divided us. Yeah. And so I was able to visit throughout Senegal, and you're seeing people look like you, and people asking you where you're from, and some people you look very similar to in features and things like that. And I started building that connection. Uh, so that was March of 2004, and I did a bunch of documentation, pictures and videos, and I came back here to the US and I shared it with my peers, shared it with my family. Some people were open, some people didn't really catch on. And so I went to the next journey, which was April of 2004, which is a trip that I paid for before I even thought about going to Senegal. And that was with the late Dr. Runoko Rashidi, one of our great African historians that got a lot of us connected to the African continent and into this exploring Africa and opening ourselves. So that was a very fruitful journey, and that also taught me the business that we do now and laid a foundation of how to see an organized tour operation where you have brothers and sisters from the African diaspora that wants organized program to experience the African history.
Yeah. So listen, man, that's a great story about your beginning to the continent. And I'll have you know, I mean, we've been talking for a while, but I didn't know that Goree Island was the first place that you went. That was the first place that I went when I first went to the continent.
Yeah, literally, that was the first highlight. After your hotel,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
and
Goree Island was the first place that I went, and Senegal is amazing. It is, man. Um, let's talk more about your tourism company, Africa for Africans, right? Because I know you've been in this business for 20 years and running,
oh
okay?
yes, 29
20
stop
years and
years.
running. So here's what I want to ask you. What was your best trip to date, in your opinion?
Yes, the best journeys that I have, and I just named them this in exact order.
Yeah.
It's the Ghana journeys we have, then Tanzania, then South Africa,
Okay. So you
north, east,
including them
south.
in order
Uh,
of best?
yes, west, east, and south.
Okay.
I've
Okay.
done I've done 25 Ghana journeys, five Tanzania journey, and three South Africa journeys, plus another two because I went to South Africa twice in 2005, part of this going to different African countries. But those are my three best experience, and those are the highlights that I have on my website as far as the most prominent countries that we try to share with people based on my experience, but also based on the fruitfulness of what you get in that connection.
So that's what I was about to ask you. How did Ghana get the number one spot? Because Ghana is popping right now. Ghana
Yes,
is a buzz.
yeah, I appreciate Ghana for not destroying the African Holocaust dungeons because some countries have done that and some countries have not maintained them. But it's a place where we can reconnect. No matter how other people may not understand that situation, if you're born in the African diaspora, whether in America, Jamaica, the other parts of the Caribbean community, South America, or Black Europe, it's a place that we value as our connection. And I appreciate the government always keeping it available and open. I know it's a business for for different countries and everything, which is fine because you have to maintain the place, you have to pay workers. So none of us can expect us to go there for free because our ancestors were stolen from those cells and those dungeons.
And you're
Uh,
speaking of Elmina and Cape Coast, correct?
Speaking specifically of Elmina and Cape Coast.
Yeah, yeah. I never thought about that, Bomani, because uh went to Gambia last year, right? And went across the Gambian River to Kunta Kinte Island, and it is all
Yes.
but destroyed. You're absolutely correct. Wow, I never thought about that connection. So listen, man, what are you presently working on?
Yes, I'm currently working on leaving for Egypt April 1st to the 13th. And from when we talked yesterday to today, I'm working on one of my classic tour books. Now,
Okay,
this is the last one for Ghana.
okay.
And this is a basically a tour program. It has all of our tour schedule from the tour overview to the itinerary to all of the different parts of the country that we'll visit and all of the sites. And then this was the last tour I was on.
What year was that?
And this was November 2025 to Tanzania.
Okay,
And this was Ghana, uh, May 2025.
okay,
So this was a group of 30 of us,
okay.
and Tanzania was a group of 23 of us. And then on the way to Egypt, it's a group of 17 of us.
Amazing.
So it's been this, so like a few months in between from one journey to the next to the next, so you're consistently moving, but that's been going on for like literally 20 straight years. And if you count my first visit to the African continent, that's March of 2004. That's 22 straight years. I've been traveling to the African continent nonstop across 13 countries, and all 13 countries that I've actually visited, I've brought a tour group to every single last one of them.
That is amazing, man.
And
Outstanding.
I can name the countries around the continent, and I could start from West Africa, which would be Ghana, Togo, Benin, Senegal, Gambia, Liberia. Those are the six. South Africa, just Southern Africa, just South Africa for now, until we get to Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Botswana next November. But that's seven countries, and then in East Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, and Ethiopia.
Okay.
And then in North Africa, Egypt and Morocco. So I've been around the African continent,
Yes.
and that's 22 years of experience. So that's why it's simple and easy for us to do this business. Plus, I have a background in computer technology, business, and logistics.
Yeah. Say, man, that's so outstanding, man. How many trips have you taken per year? How many
Uh,
trips do you average per year?
it's usually between two to four, and a total of 40 over the 20 years.
Wow. Wow.
That's 40 different groups.
Bro, we're so happy to have you here today. We're so happy to have, but we're even happier to talk a little bit about our partnership. Yeah, man. Let's talk a little bit about our partnership, man. I'm excited. I know you're excited. Courtney's excited. Uh, can you talk about what spearheaded our partnership?
Oh yes, absolutely, man. I always appreciate you guys even just reaching out to say, can you assist me with visas? And, for things like that, we do them for groups so much, it's easy. But I'm a business person, so I'm always open to whatever I can offer as a business service. And as long as people are open to this, paying and open to this, needing that service, I'm literally open to it. This operation here function as just, what I call Bomani technology. Anything in the world of technology and business, offer as a service. Before I even got on, there's two computers I was just messing with over there.
Yeah.
Uh, yes, once we met and y'all came through, I mean, I can't even believe y'all still flew in, but I figured that was probably on your agenda to come to Atlanta anyway. It was always good. It's always good to meet people directly because most of the things is simple for me to do. Just whether it's over the phone or on the computer and just get things basically done remotely. But if anyone ever just want to come through, that's always good to meet. So once we met those two times, then we hanged out the second time, and I really just appreciate the energy. I was like, these are real brothers, and they're doing their thing. They're just putting their energy together and just taking their own private group of their associates to different parts of Africa, like taking your break and getting away and instead of choosing to go to different parts of Europe and different parts of other parts of the world, Asia, Europe, or even South America, you're looking to go to the African continent. So that's always my connection. Anybody that wants to just do anything in Africa, we just want to connect with them. And that's why the business is named Africa for the Africans, which is just a primary focus on us as Black people from the African diaspora and the African continent, this focusing on what we can connect and do in Africa and figure it out because it's not like anyone just gave us a roadmap. This is how you connect, this is how you repatriate, you invest, you go through the trials and tribulation, you figure it out, you work with each other and then it grows over a period of time. So this is where I'm at literally 22 years later, where I feel confident about many things and looking to connect with real life people who want to do things on the African continent. We put our skills, our energy, innovation together, and we figure it out and make it work to where we can build a foundation for the next generation, uh, and keep it going. Because this is a generational thing where we build from generational wealth to generational foundation. As sometimes you just can't all figure it out. Most of us know our parents as well, I just spoke about my father and mother. 30 plus years working for the corporation, which is never a bad thing. Is one of the good things about being in America. Having a good job is a good thing, but from that good job, you can use your resources and build something else from it. And that's where, you and I been connecting with how we just build the energy that we have to make things work in Africa.
Yeah, man. We connected day one when we came through Atlanta uh, to get our visas and everything, stopped by your house, and then we hung out another time when we came back for a second time and everything, man. And, a business relationship kind of transpired from that. But everything seemed pretty serendipitous. I mean, it was good for all parties involved. So, we're so grateful, man. We're so grateful and we're excited about what's about to happen, man. So, what do we have coming up in 2027, Bomani? Tell the people what we got coming up, brother.
Yeah, my initial journey is my sixth journey to Tanzania. That's April 1st to the 12th. We visit Arusha, Zanzibar Island, and Dar es Salaam. And Arusha is we fly into Kilimanjaro and drive about an hour to Arusha. Then we have an incredible safari there, Tarangire National Park. We've also visited the Arusha National Park, but Tarangire National Park is just on a whole different level.
Yeah.
So we usually have one day we do a full safari, then another day we do city tour. Then we also visit this historical places. I'm a museum person, so from the Declaration Museum to the Natural Museum, those things are all in that foundation part of Arusha. Then we make our way to Zanzibar Island. You're on tropical paradise in the Indian Ocean. You're on a beautiful resort. You're enjoying sunset cruise. You're enjoying historical parts of Zanzibar and Stone Town,
Yeah.
and and then you're making your way on a nice luxury ferry boat to the main city where you just on a luxury boat, and the boat is pulling up to this mega city, Dar es Salaam. I mean, if people never seen cities in Africa, they'll just really be impressed because people tend to see negative and crazy stuff. But this is an incredible functioning city, just like Nairobi. Both of those cities are part of what makes East Africa work. Without those two cities, East Africa will look like something rough in West Africa. But
Nairobi is the financial hub of East Africa, yes?
yes, Nairobi
And
and most
Kilimanjaro, man, is that one of the largest mountains in the world?
yes, I don't know exactly if it's number one or two, but Kilimanjaro is just massive, and it's a great part of the economy of Tanzania because
Yeah.
people somehow enjoy hiking up that mountain. The
Yeah.
most and never process doing that, but we fly into that city, and then the mountain view is there. Yeah,
So you know that I'm going to Tanzania with you. I'm going to Tanzania with you because I will be done with my assignment, with this big assignment that I'm finishing up. I'll be done with that. So I'll be joining you on the trip to Tanzania. But let's get to the meat of the interview.
yeah, absolutely. And the highlight that we have is our 27th Ghana tour, and that is set for June 10th to the 22nd,
This is your
all.
partnership with Chicago's Intellectuals podcast and Courtney's company, yes?
Absolutely. This
This is
is
our partnership, baby.
Yes, I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to do something exceptional in Ghana. And
Yeah,
on the itinerary, we have the Diaspora Achievement Celebration, which I appreciate you inputting that, and also two beautiful investment connection dealing with real estate and land, so people can open their mind up to getting a piece of investment in Africa, which you guys will lead. And it's it's those are the three main part of the programs you put together. And then for a generation of people who want to enjoy the social nightlife in Africa, that's also there too, and a whole list of roots and culture. So just want to let people know that it just goes beyond just us taking you to cultural and historical sites. We have some incredible programs that both of you put together, organize and list out, and we just worked on adjusting the itinerary and adjusting the overview, and looking forward to this being a dynamic journey. I did already have a group put together already that's already started. So this will just make it more powerful. And we're looking to, we're looking to we can go as much we can go as the max, which is 60, which is two coach bus, 30 people, and 30 and this, so we have plenty of room, or we can do one at 30 to 40. So we do have the capacity, especially since we have the flow right now, and it seems like a lot of people just been interested in 2027. Uh,
yes. So you have yourself who already have, you have a long history, a 20 plus year history of tourism, but you also have Courtney Brown Jr. from Detroit, who, he knows a vast amount of people. And then you have me from Chicago, and, I have a pretty good footprint myself, right? And so we're joining forces to take a group of people over, and the capacity will be 60 people, but we'll be in three different cities in Ghana over the
yes,
course of 10 days.
yes, 4 nights in Accra,
Okay.
three 3 nights in Elmina
Then
slash
we'll do
Cape Coast,
Kumasi, right?
and then 3 nights in Kumasi. And then for those who want to stay longer, you could just stay longer. And then when we make it back to Accra, just hang out in Accra and just enjoy more of this beautiful dynamic city, because it's so much to do in Accra, where you may want to stay back longer to use some extra time to do a few different things, or even make it out to the eastern region, or the greater Accra region out there in Ada, and do some river safari, at Aqua Safari, or visit other places, because Ghana they have been billing the tour sites for adventure and also paradise. So it's really become a country, and it just stands out in West Africa because there's pretty much no other competition in West Africa as far as tourism. It's not like in East Africa where you have to deal with like several countries that are just dynamic in tourism. Ghana is pretty much one of the few. You do have Senegal, and and Gambia used to be one of those historical places. Not sure how much people really go to the Gambia once they get to Senegal, but there's not a bunch of countries that we can list. And Liberia is still trying to figure it out to make a comeback. But Ghana has just been that highlight in West Africa. And then you have a direct flight from JFK, New York on Delta Airlines, 10 hours.
Man,
Especially,
you know what I'm excited about, and what's so unique about our partnership and the tour that we're taking? is the fact that we'll be staying in East Lagon, right?
That's it. That's the
Then we're
spot.
going to go down in Accra near Oxford Street, but we'll also be in the Abri Mountains, right? We not too many tours go into the Abri Mountains, and the Abri Mountains kind of overlook Accra, right?
To
Like
the crop
similar
plane.
to how the Hollywood Hills overlook LA, right?
Yeah,
And it
absolutely.
is
That's a good point.
fascinating,
That's a good
fascinating,
point.
right? The botanical gardens, the wood carving ceremony, the Beyond Investments a presentation by a good friend Dre over there, Dre Taylor from Kansas City. He's built a community over there. So we're gonna have an excellent, excellent time. And we have how many parties we got going on, man?
Uh, yeah, we get there at a good time. We get there on Friday night, so we get there on Friday morning. So we have the welcome dinner.
Yeah.
um, at Jamrock, which is a nice foundation to this kickoff nightlife, and then we're gonna make our way out to the city, and then we have Saturday and Sunday where we can just so everything is lined up to where you're there at the weekend, and you could just hit the ground running, and just then once you finish all those days there in Accra, then you could just kind of unwind and relax in Cape Coast Elmina at Elmina Beach Resort, where you're literally right there on the beach, where the schedule's a little lighter. We do have the African Holocaust Dungeons, Cape Coast, and we do have a canopy walk. But that's the only two things really on the schedule. So you can have your beach parties. You can just kick back, relax, take a swim, get massages, and just enjoy like the paradise there. So all these places I've mentioned, we have tons of videos on YouTube of just showing the highlights of just us there, just enjoying a good time and just kicking back and getting away from just the environment that we're currently just in. I'm not saying it's a bad or a good thing. It's just sometimes when you're just working and you're doing business and you're just moving and grooving for just months, you want to go somewhere completely away from that environment where you can
Serene.
and
Somewhere serene.
realign.
Yeah.
So that's why I've just been doing that for 22 years because you're a modern day hardworking person, and you just want to just be able to just enjoy a getaway, and then not just once every 5 years. You want to do it like every few months.
Yeah, yeah. So I would like for you to expound a little bit about the importance of Cape Coast, which we'll be visiting, and Elmina, which we will be visiting, because much of our audience might not be too familiar. Can you expound a little bit about the importance of those two and why we added those to our agenda? And we have a quite dense agenda, by the way.
Oh yes, Cape Coast, the educational foundation there in Ghana. There's lots of private schools. Have one of the major universities there. And also, it's part of what you have is Cape Coast African Holocaust Dungeon, which is more intact and is maintained. It's created to have a presentation because it's a connection to where will connect with our African ancestors. So that's the biggest situation there in Cape Coast. And then Elmina, you have the oldest dungeons. I would say probably in West Africa. That's there. It's not as maintained well, but you're not looking for like a pretty white presentation. You're looking to find the truth and the ruggedness of what happened to our ancestors and how we got here, and make a connection so it could just be a part of you understanding and being clear about your situations, because throughout your time frame, you don't know what to believe in all the books you read by other people that probably don't really have your interests. You just told a story in a curriculum, so now you're able to revisit for yourself. So that's the biggest part there in Cape Coast and Elmina.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
also you have the ancestral river park or Asin Manso, slave
First bath, the
old
final
slave
bath,
market. Yeah, that's the last bath of our
the last bath.
African
Yeah,
ancestors before they were taken to those dungeons.
yeah.
So all of that is going to be in the central region for those 3 days that we're literally there in the central region. And then on top of that, we also have a canopy walk, which for those who like adventures, you like zip lining, you like canopy walks, you like going out there to the forest. You're kind of balancing the itinerary out with nature to where you can go, take a hike up to the mountains, a hike up into the forest, and just enjoy a nice little nature getaway. And for those who just don't want to do that, I tell them to stay at the resort and enjoy and kick back. But I just usually recommend you just do the full itinerary.
Yeah.
Because everything is optional. If you don't want to do something, you paid for the trip already, chill at the resort, chill at the hotel, do what you need to do. Because I do understand that, it's a busy schedule, but I tell people, make sure you take all your vitamins, you make sure you just get good rest, and then to just experience it all. And once you experience it all, maybe next time when you come back, you could just do something more relaxing and laid back without a schedule. But the schedule is there for you to get the full most and get the fullness of the actual country.
Yeah. So, Bomani, Courtney and I have taken several trips to the continent in the past few years, and typically the round trip flights. So we would go to Senegal, Gambia, and Ghana, and the round trip flights from Chicago to JFK, from JFK to Senegal, from Senegal to Gambia, from Gambia to Ghana. That flight would typically cost me about $2,500. And then my accommodations would cost me about another 2,000. And we're not talking food and activities, right? Please tell our audience what a bargain they are getting for this 10-day trip that cost $4,700. It is a 10-day trip. It's pretty much all inclusive. Can you share how we're able to do that?
Yes, when you're doing a group booking, you're kind of negotiating hard with it,
Yeah,
airlines, you're limited on what you can do. You just got to just make early commitments with them, and they'll, more than likely give you the better rates for the flight. But as far as when it comes to hotels and it comes to transportation and it comes to this, everything else you're doing it in aspects of a group booking. And when
yes,
just like corporate economics, when you put the money together, then the deals end up working out, especially if you know how to negotiate and work it out. And then when it comes to this, the things that need to be done, all the technology and everything is here to just get everything done. And then the partners and people that you have, it's just easy communication to get things set up. From even the book to the program to everything that needs to be set up, those things are done. So you don't need a bunch of unnecessary third-party people. You just dealing direct. And the more you deal with direct from this operation to the next operation without middle people, then that's how you solve that problem.
yeah. So for the sake of people who didn't know about our trip and might be interested, can you please share your contact information? And I would also add it to the video, but just for the sake of the people who are watching and would like to go on this exploration, this wonderful exploration with us, can you please share your contact information? And for those people, please mention Chicago's Intellectuals podcast is where you got the information, and you can contact Bomani. Can you share your information, Bomani?
Absolutely. And I can even do a quick screen share and that would take you right to the website.
Okay. Very good, man. Even better.
Yes, so family, you can visit our website at africafortheafricans.org. And then once you get to the website, you can just you could just go to the main menu to the left or stroll down and you'll see a list of tours. And then you're just looking for Ghana, June 10th to the 22nd, 2027. And once you click, you'll find the information direct tour overview, itinerary, general terms, and payment schedule, visa guidelines. Even we have language translation so you can get into the lingo of talking in the country. Departure and reminder list, which is a preparation list, and then good information to improve your immune system. So when you get there, you can be running and just enjoying paradise. You can reach out to me directly via phone at 404-931-9429. And while you're on the site, when you scroll down to the left, you'll see YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. So you'll see basically a list of this when you get to those networks, pictures and videos over the period of time. Some are more presentations and flyers, some are direct this video highlights um, from the different networks. So you'll see our information that's fully documented, and then you can always just Google my name, Bomani Tyehimba, or Africa for the Africans, and then you'll see the history of the connection of this 2 decades, is connecting the African diaspora to the African continent.
Thank you, Bomani. Go ahead and stop share. Appreciate that, brother. So, for those of you who would like to join us on this wonderful exploration,
Yes.
Please go ahead and contact Bomani. Go ahead and look through the website. And don't forget to mention Chicago's ILLectuals podcast and the Kid Rod Allen. Okay. Bomani, thank you so much for that, brother. Let's talk a little
Absolutely.
bit about your aviation mechanics work. Let's talk a little bit about that because I want the youth to see someone who looks like them who's working in the field that you're working in. What is your job title?
Yes, I'm an aircraft technician and I've had that position since I was 18 and now 48.
Wow.
But I've not consistently worked on planes for those 38. More so, spend most of my time working on computer technology from repairing and building desktops to troubleshooting them to repairing uh, laptops to installing video surveillance to installing your typical office technology from your computers, your TVs to anything that you run in your office, your printers, and also fixing and repairing them and providing consultation and things like that. But as far as aircraft maintenance, that was strictly a connection from the U.S. Navy. Took when you take your U.S. military exam, and you basically list what service you want to join. Once your exam come back, they give you a list of position that you're qualified. And me as somebody that went to a technical school, I'm gonna ace the technical part of it. So, so careers like Navy and Air Force is more geared towards planes and this high technology. So if you're somebody that just want to literally build a career doing technology, I mean, all branches are based on the needs that the needs of what they're situated for. Unfortunately, for war preparation, unfortunately, and but that's just something else. But at the same time, too, it's somewhere if you want to build your career and you want to learn this, if you want to learn nuclear engineering, things like that, it's hard for you to be, and I want to just connect with people and where I'm coming from as a person that's trying to, you're 18, you come from Jamaica, you just literally been in this country for 70 years, and your parents have other children, you want to get out the house so they can have their space. And you're just looking for somewhere to build and get something going. Number one, you want to get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you want to get your training complimentary or in that situation. So that was the best option for me. And I wasn't gonna just take my struggling parents to a situation where they gotta fund me to going to college and things like that. So I took that route, and I wanted to also get away. I grew up in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn may be a little bit different then, but back in those days, it was gangland, gangland.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody trying to recruit you to join their gang.
Gang, gang, baby. Gang, gang.
And you come from a family where you want to build something. You don't want your family to feel like, oh, they brought you here to America, and then and this is what you chose out of everything that you can choose in America. You chose that life versus building a career. So that's always so so the options was aircraft. It's going to always be somewhere in technology when it comes to the Navy, and so that was a great opportunity to learn aircraft engines, and then from then you get a chance to work on F-14 and F-18 jets, and then when you decide that you want to get out now you have a background, and if you want to go to a technical school.
Yeah,
You have your money you have your money that you earned over the period of time that would literally pay for all of your education.
yeah.
So now, and if you want to finish college, that's also could go towards it, and then you'll be able to work it out to where you more than likely be able to get all of it paid for. So this is a way you learn a skill, you can get your education paid for, and then now when you have all of those things in place, now you have to deal with the person that's going to interview you.
Mhm.
And the person that's going to interview you for someone like myself that's an aircraft technician, more than likely the person that's going to interview me is going to be from the Air Force or from the Army or and then maybe sometimes the Navy and then or maybe they'll have somewhat background or family in that world. So you put on your suit and your tie, you get your portfolio together, and you have that conversation, and automatically you're going to get that job. I guarantee it.
So you know that we're in wartime right now, and
Right.
understand, the route that you took. But if young people wanted to get into that field, there are certain technical schools that you can go to learn those skills, right?
Yes, and that's another option to the school I talk about. Like in aircraft maintenance technology, you have Aviation Institute of Maintenance, and you have the U.S. Aviation Academy for people who want to learn to be pilots and also want to learn to be aircraft technicians. Uh, Air Force, Navy is usually the route some people go to do that process that I mentioned, to get things taken care of for you and build your resume. But for those who can go the other route, like I have some guys that I've worked with over the years, uh, where they were like 19, 20, and 21.
Yeah.
And they just basically left from high school and went directly to school. So those are the options that you have. And I'm always telling our generation that what you have is options. Nobody is going to force you to join any military or any of those operations. It's something if you choose to do it and you want to do it. And I explained my reasons for doing it, and that I had the greatest time of my life, and to be able to just get out and explore. But for those people who may be worried about things, you have to just put your options together out there on the table, and for those who just feel like they just want to go to a university to learn the other parts of aviation like avionics and learn aircraft engineering, so you can work at one of these incredible companies with the NASA's and other corporations out there that build planes, manufacture planes, and they need real smart people that are engineers that are good with design. And so you have another path of that career. So we live in a world where it's built of technology, and what you see more than anything else is you see airports everywhere, planes are flying everywhere. So for every pilot that's out there, you need this, and aircraft out there, you need this amount of technical people, not just mechanics, but also engineers. So that's been my world of just always just encourage more of us to, you know, to look into those fields, and those fields are going to give you an incredible salary at a young age, and then from that incredible salary, you can use that salary to, build up your credit, build up your capital, start building your business, and start looking more into entrepreneurship because none of us can work forever. But at the same time, too, and then for some people, yeah, you can just some people start out there early where they're into stocks and into different ways of investments, and some people, their parents put them in a good situation to where they have great credit, so now they can flip capital and build their business and build their brand, and some people can learn the world of computer technology. I learned, and then that will put you in a situation where you can negotiate for contract and build relationship with companies to where you're doing their technical work. So these are just many different opportunities that I would love to see more of us get involved with, and build that future. And then when you make all this big money, come to Africa and invest some of that money in Africa, build
Yes.
some real estate, spend some of that money and pay for a nice organized tour, and treat yourself to something because it's your plane ticket. It's um it's your bus that you're gonna be riding on, your hotel, your food. We just basically accommodating you and making sure that you have the greatest time ever. And then now you have a relationship with people who can assist you in other things. Because I'm always telling people the money that you're gonna spend for these journeys is the money that you make throughout the year. You just have to maybe budget a little bit or maybe cut back on certain things. But if you're working one of these full-time positions, they give you, PTO, paid time off. So you use some of that to get away from that environment, and this is one of the options that we offer. So I'm always telling people, come, take a journey to Africa, and the journey that you're going to be experiencing is going to be more fruitful than you going anywhere else in the world. Because I've been to the Australias of the world, the East Asia, uh, Singapore, Malaysia, uh, Japan, Korea, Hawaii. Where else I've been in, been all over,
Been
all over
all
every Caribbean state,
over.
different parts of Europe. But I've been around been around the world, and the reason why I keep going to Africa for 22 straight years, and since I've been going to Africa for those 22 straight years, I almost have never really have gone anywhere else. I may have went to London, England, London, England to see my family, or may have went to Toronto, Canada to see my family, or went somewhere else to see my family because we're from Jamaica, we're all over the place.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I stick to Africa because it's the greatest experience. To where I just got to be there every few months.
Yeah. So speaking of young people, because you noted that you always try and reach out to young people, Let me ask you this. I always ask all of our guests this. How important is mentorship?
Oh, very important, without a doubt. And your parents sometimes can only do so much. Like I was telling my son, he's always thinking I'm lecturing him. I was like, I was like, when I came to this country, what I'm saying, we're all immigrants, and my parents, the most important thing that they realized that they had to do is just go out there and work. That's it. And then their goal was to provide for us, and then we needed to figure something else out, which is to go to school, get an education, and then, since you're young, learn the system. And I was telling them now you're in a better situation now where I understand business, capital, credit, investment, computer technology, uh, networking,
Yes.
and you have a foundation that's built for you to where you don't have to go through figuring those things out. And then for the young brothers that I meet around, just like I shared all the different careers, I usually just have a conversation with them, and and the most important thing I'm telling you, I was like, yo, it's about you getting your money. So
Yes.
anything I'm gonna tell you
Bottom
this
line.
first. Everything I'm talking to you about is about getting your money. You may meet a woman that you get pregnant, you marry, you fall in love with. Eventually you're gonna want a car, you're gonna want your own place. You can't be about 25, 30 and want to live with your parents. You're gonna want your own space. So that's the way you're going to earn capital, and from there on, if you want to do anything else, you can build an energy. So I just usually lay out the options of careers and opportunities, and that's why I started with from the military, university, technical school, because all of those are options. Now you have to make a decision what works best for you and everything. you know
Yeah. What does Bomani read? Because you're well
yes.
informed. You're well informed. So what do you read, man?
Many,
Look
many books up here.
at Bomani. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you hitting us hard.
Yeah, basically economics and
Yeah.
Pan-Africanism, corporate, it's black corporative economics, us putting energy, money together to do things together, and to where we can have ownership, because every single person I know, or the majority of people that we know, most of us work for rich corporations that are owned by other people, which is fine because I need a job and I earn the talent, I work to build a talent so I can work for a big corporation. But then at the same time too, in order to transform your generation in the future, you now have to use some of that capital to do investment in a future that's going to be sustainable. Because at any moment, you show up to any career, and because we're in a world where your jobs are some people jobs. That's why I'm always talking about technology. Let me go find a robot that can do some of the things I can do. And I'm like, it's not gonna happen no time soon, but it may happen in some of the things I do. But you're versatile enough to where you have something going. But at any moment, whether it's AI or automate
Automation.
automation can replace you quick, especially if you're thinking about you just gonna go get a marketing degree or get certain things. Next, they have a whole bunch of systems to replace you right away, and things are just done to where some corporations don't really need you. So you don't ever take that for granted that just because you have a great government job, that the next government is not gonna come and change things around, which I heard, which was a big thing that affected. Some people in the Washington D.C. area, when government changeover happened and different parts of government started streamlining or adjusting, or
We
whatever
saw it
process they
happen in
do.
real time. We saw it happen in real time. The bottom will fall out. This is why what Bomani is saying, what you're saying, sir, is so important. In addition to working for the corporations or the American entities, we should be putting some money aside to build our own companies and branding and collaborating like we're doing, right? We should be
Absolutely.
doing that because that's somebody else's dream. That corporation was once somebody else's dream, but we can be a corporation in and of
I say
ourselves.
the main reason that you want to get to that energy, because we know we can't ever expect that the American corporation is responsible for employing all of our family members and all of us. We appreciate the opportunities that we have, but it's like we have to figure out how we're going to employ our brothers and sisters in Africa, how we're going to create opportunities, how we can build partnership or work together to get those things done. So that's, trying to give people an end goal of why you do the things you do. Because some children feel like right now that, well, I don't want to be like you and be working 30, 40 years or, I've never looked at my parents like that. I was like, you have to start somewhere and then you can evolve from there. But you're not just gonna figure it out at 18, you get out of school and then you build a multi-billion dollar business or $1 million business, which some people have been able to work that out. You may be that 14-year-old that's so smart that you just figure out how to build a specific app and then that app just get out there and the next or you just that child athlete, once in a generational star that just have that. But it's like the one in a million situation,
They're
or
anomalies. They're statistical anomalies. They're outliers.
it's not
Right?
worth to chase. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you can do that, then that's fine. But this is one way how we can evolve.
Yeah. What type of music does Bomani listen to?
Yes, man, I'm a reggae. I love my old school, cultural reggae. From your Buju Banton to to your Sizzler, Bob
Yeah.
Marley, Peter Tosh,
Yes.
yeah, Beanie Man, Bounty Killer, Tupac, and then soul music, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
just it right there. And I'm a person that loved the soul music from the 60s and the 70s and the 80s up to the 90s. And then whatever they come out with nowadays here and there that made it sounds good. I made jam with it. But yeah, I was born in the 70s and my soul resonated with those eras. The decade before and after, the decade I was born in. And I just enjoy that music. I just feel like it came straight from the heart and it was just a different time where it wasn't about, the games well, I'm sure it was games going on there. I felt like it was more genuine
yeah,
and it's more like real life connection. And, it's things that, you learn about love, relationship, the world and life and so on. But yeah, no, and then in my earlier days, especially when I got to Brooklyn, just a lot of hip hop, Biggie Smalls, Jay-Z,
yeah,
Nas. And so, I still have those in my music collection, but for the most part, some soul music and some reggae music, just like you'll hear on the website once I click it back to auto start.
yeah, yeah. So you're talking about the eras of substance, brother. The 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I got you, man. I got you.
Yeah, and for people who live in this generation, it's a little different. And I guess from generation to generation, people gonna look at it like that. But yeah, it's like anything goes, and it's things that goes on where I try just to just to each his own. The easiest way for you not to get into those conversation because you may be somewhere at your workplace and next somebody's recording you or hear you say something about something that you shouldn't be talking about. The next that jeopardize your money and
Yeah,
things like
yeah.
that.
That's the
Uh,
era
but
we live in, brother.
yeah, but back in the days, it just used to be completely different. When I was in the Navy. It was Bill Clinton was in, and it was like, and they started coming out with "Don't ask, don't tell" type stuff. Man. But it got you prepared for like some crazy stuff that was gonna happen. And
Don't ask, don't tell. I remember that.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
now it's just some things that I just literally can't believe. But I come from a generation of just men that are men and just believe in just, the last of the dying breed as far as just the Pan-African energy. I'm not sure how much people are really into the world of Pan-Africanism. I've been seeing some negative, crazy stuff out there of lately, and that's why I don't even be on YouTube live like that anymore because I'm not gonna like sit around and debate with folks about and just be on some talking and debating situation. If we're gonna talk and debate, let's talk and debate how we can build a future together as a people, whether you want to connect to Africa or not. Because if you don't want to have nothing to do with Africa, that's absolutely fine. There's plenty of us here that need to work together to figure things out here. And then for those of us who want to make some move in Africa, it's a small energy of us to where we can find some more to figure it out. But at the end of the day, we need to do is focus on what we can do for ourselves as a people and uplift the next generation and let them understand that the struggle of our ancestors is not something that's just, you didn't make it yet. You're not there yet. The struggle and the fight continues until I start seeing rich billion-dollar black corporations hiring a whole community of brothers in Brooklyn, New York, or somewhere in Chicago or Detroit or the African continent and then setting up factories and Operation African continent. you have not made it, you have not, you have not even way close to making it. You still have to compete with rich, ruthless corporations that's not just gonna give up their position like that. They're gonna more so sit down with you and buy you out or put you out of business.
That's been the pattern, right? That's
Or goes on nonstop, So, the fight never stops, and that's why we
journey
just make this
continues, man. We
connection.
just have to know the assignment, Bomani. So
Yes.
listen, man, it's been a great, great interview. I told you we were going to have a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, hey, man, we're so proud of you, your accomplishments, the mission that you've been on for the last 24 years, and we're excited about this upcoming partnership and the journey to Ghana that we're taking in June 2027. As we close, I always like to afford our guests an opportunity to tell a story of their choice. This segment is called Big or Small. I have a story to tell.
All right.
So I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell any type of story that you like as we close. Now's your time.
Yes, story. That is a great question. So let me find a story on the African continent, you know.
Mm,
So my favorite story would be how I came into learning more about the world of East Africa. You know,
okay.
I It was the beginning of 2020, and it was this COVID-19 situation going on to where I'm on my way to Senegal and the Gambia with a group of people, and next no flights, no hotels available. And you're wondering what you're gonna do. You're ready to get away, so you tough it out. The next thing I start looking into where can I go. People want to get out and go somewhere. And next thing I know, I heard about this guy John Magufuli in Tanzania, the former president, and that he mentioned that his country is open. And I started looking into Tanzania, and I was like, I heard about Tanzania, from even the reggae artists and things like that, but I've never, I'm trying to find somewhere to go. So now I start looking at tons of videos and doing tons of research. And I was like, I didn't even realize how dynamic this country was because I've spent so many years focused on this Ghana and just going there consistently. And at that point, I've been going to Ghana for a good 16 straight years. And then once we put that 10 schedule together, I was able to be connected with a tour operator there, and I didn't know that the African continent had beaches this incredible. And that's a shame for someone like myself who've been going to Africa so long. I mean, I've been to South Africa and they have nice beaches there, but I don't think I've ever like literally just been out there where I'm out there enjoying a sunset cruise and I'm out there swimming, snorkeling and everything. And that was on Zanzibar Island.
Tanzania.
And
Wow.
from then it just like opened my mind up like, yo, we gotta like get people to, because a lot of times we spend a lot of time in West Africa. So this story is about just opening your mind to the African continent, not just a coast or a specific country, because you'll start realizing that every single part around the African continent is just
Unique.
incredible, unique and incredible, and it gives you a different feel of different culture, and it shows you that we're the most diverse and unique people on the planet, and then we have to just really embrace our culture, and embrace the connections, other parts, because that is it, right? Tanzania, Zanzibar Island. Remind me of something in tropical Montego Bay, Negril, and Ocho Rios, Jamaica.
Yeah, yeah. Hey man, that's a fantastic, fascinating story. Hey, listen, Bomani, we're so grateful for you, brother. We're proud of you. We're looking forward to our continued partnership. And we will see you pretty soon. I think we have a business meeting pretty soon anyway. So, but thank you so much, man, for taking out the time in your busy schedule to come on and sit with us on Chicago's ILLectuals podcast. Until next time, I am the kid Rod Allen for Bomani Tyehimba.
Yes, brother, you take care, man. Keep doing your beautiful works. I'm looking forward to that connection.
All right. Take care, Bomani.